Guys, don't forget to buy David White's book. It's £20 for a personalised signed copy and free delivery. All the details are down below. Hi guys, it's Andy from mcfcfantv. This is a match preview for Saturday. Wolves versus Manchester City. 12:30 kickoff, and what we'd like to do is we sent some questions over to Harry at Wolves Fan TV. They sent us some. So anyway, this is our chat from earlier today. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to Man City Fan TV.
Well, hi everyone, it's HOH on the YouTube from Wolves Fan TV, and I'm here with Manchester City Fan TV doing a collaboration for a match preview ahead of the Wolves versus Man City game live at 12:30 on Saturday. And I've got a few questions here to say. So Andy, question number one. Do Man City fans view this game as a tricky encounter or an easy clash against an inferior team that must reap 3 points?
Okay, Harry. With regards to, do I think that this game on Saturday will be an easy game? No, definitely not. Last season, when Wolves came to the Etihad, I said, literally, they were the best team I've seen Man City face. From an attacking style of football. At that point, they were very attacking, very dangerous, very quick on the break, and in all honesty, I think Claudio Bravo actually kept us in it with some 2 or 3 really good saves, and ultimately we won on penalties. So do I think it will be an easy game? Definitely not. If you look though, what I am surprised is you start to the season with the 2 games, because when I looked over some of the stats down here, first game 2-2 against Everton. Well, Jagielka was sent off in the 40th minute, so down to 10 men, and even still you were behind, but came back to get a point. Now, looking at the possession stats, you were still quite high. You were 58% possession. And you were still sort of over 500, I think it was 548 passes. So you're still carrying on that possession-based football into the Premier League. Then obviously the 2-0 defeat to Leicester, I think, was a bit of a shock, because they went down to 10 men, Jamie Vardy being sent off in the 60th minute or 66th minute. And again, ironically, you got 58% possession, 500 passes, and in both games you had 11 shots. So you're still dangerous. Now, I don't know whether it's, I haven't watched all the games in full, so I'm not sure whether you're not taking your chances or not. You will obviously be able to tell me. But easy game, definitely not. But I think it's going to be a cagey game, because I think potentially you might do what you did last year and actually sit back and then try and hit us on the break. So it'll be interesting to see how Pep sets up to counter that. So easy game? No, it's not going to be an easy game. I don't think it will be an easy game, but then I said that for the Huddersfield game on Sunday. So in the end, I think you definitely need points, because what you don't want to do is go 3-4 games and you're still on 1 or 2 points. So I think you desperately need 3 points from somewhere. Whether that will be on Saturday, I very much doubt it, but you never know. Okay, so Harry, it's only 2 games in. You played Leicester and Everton, and you've managed to get 1 point from there. Is it a concern for you, and did you expect more than actually 1 point out of those 2 games, considering the teams that you were playing, Everton and Leicester? It wasn't like you were playing a Chelsea or a City or a United or somebody. So what do you think if you start?
I wouldn't say necessarily concerns, because when you look at the 2 games we played worse in our opening game against Everton and drew, but actually improved a great deal against Leicester. The only thing that was against us in that game was that we lost, but in a way it was such a better performance because we controlled large parts of that match. We had the likes of Adama Traore come into action, who caused a bit of problems off the bench for about 30 minutes. So I wouldn't say it's too much of a concern over the last couple of games. We still got a point on the board, which is more that can be said than Arsenal and even Fulham. Cardiff have only got 1 point. So for a new team like us, it can sometimes be a case of just getting used and trying to adapt to the new league and the challenges that come with that. So I wouldn't say concerns. I mean, would I expect more? maybe we could have won against Everton when they were down to 10 men, but I wouldn't complain too much. And even against Man City, we're realistic, most of us. A good performance, regardless of the result, would still serve us in good stead. We've still got 35 games left regardless, so it's a long way to go yet before perhaps feeling concerned. Kevin De Bruyne will be out for Man City, and he's going to be missing some crucial games for you in the next 3 to 4 months. Does this add pressure, in your opinion, to get results against bottom half teams such as Wolves, or is it a case of business as usual?
Of course, having KDB out for 3 months, 2 to 3 months, they believe, anywhere from sort of 8 weeks up to 10 weeks is always going to be a loss. It'll be a loss for any team in world football. However, that's the reason why we've spent heavily in the squad, and that's why I believe we've got the best squad in the Premier League. So I think what that does is it gives opportunities for others to step up. And don't forget, we saw a performance from David Silva on Sunday, which was just sublime. So will he be a miss? Yes. Will it put more pressure on? No more pressure than Pep will be putting on the players every single week, whether we had Lionel Messi in the team or whether KDB was playing. Pep applies pressure in every single game. So I don't think it will make one jot of difference whether KDB is out or he's in the squad. The pressure is there with the Premier League champions, and Pep wants to retain the Premier League again. So every single game it will be full on 100% effort. Otherwise, your place will be in jeopardy. So we've seen the likes of Bernardo Silva. We've got the kid Phil Foden. We've got other players. We've got Mara, Sterling, Sane vying for places. We've got Gabi Jesus and Sergio Aguero fighting for places as well. So the pressure is there, and that's fantastic for Pep Guardiola, fantastic for the players, and fantastic for us as fans. So no difference in pressure for me. It doesn't matter whether we're playing Arsenal like we did in the first game, or whether we're playing Huddersfield or another newly promoted team. Cardiff. It makes no difference. The pressure is there to get 3 points, and it's just that simple. Okay, Harry. At the weekend, in the Scum newspaper of all things, they had this article that was talking about Manchester City possibly being in for Ruben Neves in January for £60 million. Now, I think it's absolute nonsense, but he was brilliant in the Championship last year. Do you think he's good enough now at this moment in time to play for a top 6 club? And is there anybody, from what you've watched of him, is there anybody at Man City who you think he plays like in a similar role?
I don't think it's a case of Ruben Neves in the fact, could he be a top 6 player? I think it's a case of him definitely being a top 6 player in the next couple of years. He's been rumoured with pretty much every big club in England under the sun. I'd say the likes of Man United, City, Spurs. So it's not just a case of your team especially being linked with Neves. He's been linked with every big club, and the amount of free kicks he scores is only going to raise the interest, and the press are only going to be speculating further. But you say you perhaps don't need him. I actually think that out of all the clubs, you probably don't, because you have a player who despite not playing in the next 3-4 months, could still, in the next couple of years, be your player that could even guide you to the Champions League, Kevin De Bruyne. I would probably compare Neves to De Bruyne. I mean, they're definitely not the same quality just yet. Kevin De Bruyne is just a little bit higher up, but Neves and him have some similarities. They're definitely good on the ball. They control tempo of games, good from long range. They can pick out passes 30, 40 yards with ease. So yeah, I'd say they're definitely similar. I wouldn't listen to the rumours, really. I don't think he's going anywhere in the next season, but in a couple of years' time, definitely. Whether or not he'd be at Wolves in the top 6 or elsewhere, but this first season, I think he'll play well, and then there might be the second year where he might have his head turned by big clubs, but I wouldn't be too concerned on that front either. I think he's staying for at least a year. Next question. Pep has spent a lot of money and is starting to deliver trophies. However, considering the amount you've spent, would not winning the Champions League this season be classed as a disappointment, even if you retain the Premier League?
Okay, well, would it be a disappointment? I wouldn't say a disappointment if we won the Premier League. If we didn't win the Premier League and we didn't win the Champions League, yeah, I would turn around and probably say, unless we won both cup competitions, the League Cup and the FA Cup, then I would say not winning the Premier League and not going far or winning the Champions League would probably be a disappointment. However, On that point, I think I'm with a lot of Man City fans, not every single one, but I think the majority in respect of the Premier League is the bread and butter. The Premier League, even Pep has come out and said that recently, the Premier League is the most important competition. The Champions League is, it's a bit of glory, but it's a cup competition. It's like me asking any United, Chelsea, Liverpool fan, if you didn't win the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup this season, would you say that's a disappointment? They'd probably laugh. Well, that's what the Champions League is, because at the end of the day, they're all cup competitions, and on any individual home or away, or both, as we saw last season against Liverpool, anything can happen. It can be offside decisions that don't go your way, whether that be Liverpool being offside for a goal and the goal is given, or City being onside and given offside for a goal. These are the small margins in cup competitions that can play a part. You don't really get the opportunity over a few games to rectify any mistakes. If you go into a cup competition like the Champions League or any cup competition with a under strength squad, players missing, injuries, or just on the day you don't actually turn up, or you don't play particularly well to your best of your abilities, and the other team are better, and I believe that was Liverpool last season in the Champions League. I thought they were better overall over 2 games, but they did get an awful lot of decisions go their way during the 2 games. Then you're out. It's that simple, and that is cup competition football. So for me, I look at it, it doesn't make any difference whether it's the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup or the Champions League. Anything can happen in a cup competition. The Premier League is completely different. It's who is the best team, consistent team over 38 games. And that is where you might have an off day. When Liverpool beat us in the Premier League, but at the end of the day, we finished 25 points ahead of them. We finished 19 points ahead of United. That proves consistency week in, week out. And for me, it's always going to be the priority over the Champions League. Now, some might say, well, yeah, but wait until you win it. And yeah, maybe in 10 years' time, if we've now at the stage of 6, 7, 8 Premier League titles, maybe the focus might shift a little bit more to the Champions League, and we'll maybe as older City fans look at it in a different way, and maybe, I don't know, welcome it more with open arms as more of a priority. But it's never going to be certainly in the near future for me. It's never going to be the priority. The Premier League is always the number one, and I think if fans turn around and say, "Oh, the Champions League over the Premier League," I don't believe you. I'm sorry, unless you're a young fan who all you've grown up with is the Champions League anthem and noise and all that type of thing. It's always going to be the Premier League. I think if you asked a Liverpool fan, and I'm not saying this because it's Man City Fan TV, if you asked a Liverpool fan what would they rather win this season, the Champions League or the Premier League, you tell me a proper Liverpool fan that would turn around and say, oh, always the Champions League. No chance in a million years they'd want the Premier League title. So for me, would I be disappointed if we won the Premier League and didn't win the Champions League? No, I wouldn't be disappointed, not at all. As long as we had a decent run in it and got quarterfinals, semi-finals, or even the final. If we didn't win the Premier League, and for whatever reason, then I'd be a bit disappointed if we didn't at least get to the final in the Champions League. But overall, no, it's Premier League for me. And oh God, if we won the Premier League and the Champions League, that would be fantastic. But that's my answer. It's that simple. Now, I just want to cover one other little part. You in your question, you actually said the amount of money that Pep had spent. Money spent, money wasted, whatever else. It's these arguments I don't tend to get involved with when it comes to opposition fans sort of saying, oh, look how much money you've spent, and etc, etc. We've had comments about it on Twitter, we've had it on Facebook, we've had it below our sort of YouTube channel videos, etc. So it's one I've really sort of steered clear from, because I find it sort of, it's nonsensical really, to be discussing money, especially in this day and age when all clubs do it. Certainly the big clubs have done it for years, and City have had to do it since 2008, accelerate the spending to catch up with the Sky 4 and get in there before the door was closed. So, but I made some notes, and this is going to be my last sort of point on it, because I'm not going to argue this point anymore, and everybody will have their own opinions. But anyway, now if we take the figures from 1992 when the Premier League started, and we'll just take it from that point, it's easier because it's easier to get figures that way. Manchester City have spent 1.4 billion, which is an awful lot of money. Let's not forget, it is a lot of money. Manchester United in that time have spent 1.15 billion pounds. Liverpool have spent 1.1 billion, and Chelsea have spent 1.51 billion pounds since the Premier League inception. Now, if we take the managers of those clubs in particular, because we're not putting Spurs and Arsenal in there, because Arsenal actually have got the lowest spend out of anybody. It's around about 680 million, even though it's quite a lot, and I think Spurs are somewhere like 800 and something million. So let's discount those teams for now and just concentrate on these four teams. Pep, this is just going into his third season, so he's been at City now for two years, and just started into his third year of his tenure. Now, in that time since Pep's been at Man City, he's spent £400 million, which I agree is a lot of money. Jose Mourinho, who has been at United exactly the same time, has spent £379 million. So we're talking about £21 million difference. Jurgen Klopp, who has been at Liverpool for 2.5 seasons, going into this sort of as his third season, has spent 3.5 seasons, has spent 482 million. Yeah, 82 million pounds more than Manchester City, and almost 100 million pounds, just over, more than Manchester United. Chelsea and Antonio Conte plus Sarri have spent 524 million pounds. That's 124 million pounds more than Manchester City, and 150 million pounds more than Manchester United, and 38 million pounds more than Liverpool. So these clubs, who are considered the big spenders, have spent an awful lot of money. That includes us as Manchester City. But United are at the lowest spend of those four, followed by City, followed by Liverpool, and Chelsea are at the top with huge layout. So if we then take, just in those managers' period, their tenure at these clubs, say 2.5 years, well, Pep Guardiola in that time, spending £400 million, has won the Premier League and the Carabao Cup. Jose Mourinho has spent 379 million, and he's won the League Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Europa League. Jurgen Klopp, in that a little bit longer, has spent 482 million pounds and won nothing. And Antonio Conte and Sarri have spent 524 million pounds, but fair play, Conte won the Premier League in his first season. So when it comes to spend, it's just a stick that opposition fans use to try and beat opposition fans with, because it's just garbage, it's nonsense. Yes, the money is there, the money has been spent, but when you talk about clubs buying things and clubs spending money excessively and huge amounts and ruining football, the finger generally gets pointed at Manchester City. Yet I've just proven to you there that United, out of those four clubs, if we just take those four clubs, have actually only spent 300, when I say only, they spent 379, followed by Manchester City at 400 million, so it's only 21 million pounds more. Liverpool have spent significantly more under Klopp than United and City, and Chelsea even more than Liverpool, City and United. So this day and age, you need money. You have to. Leicester was a one-off. It will never happen again. Not in my lifetime, I'm sure of it. This day and age, if you want to break into that, top 4, 5, 6, whatever you want to call it, you need to spend money. Now, I think if you look at Spurs in particular, yeah, Pochettino has done a wonderful job, at Spurs without spending a great deal of money, keeping them in and around the fight. But ultimately, what, another 5 years if they're not going to invest in players because of the stadium? So he's going to be there for what, 8 years, and what is he going to win? Nothing? A cup competition? You know, it's one thing to sort of, like Liverpool fans do say, oh, you know, but our net spend is... Nobody cares what your net spend is. Your trophy count is what matters. You know, you could spend nothing for the next 25 years, and if you don't win anything, it means absolutely nothing. So you could spend another £1 billion and win another 3, 4, 5 titles. Then fine, that's ultimately what's on there, not what you've spent to get there. And yes, we'd all love our clubs to grow organically and have, you know, all academy players and have that wonderful sort of nirvana, that dream of things. But it is not going to happen, because it doesn't happen in Europe, across the continents, around the world, and it's certainly not going to happen in the Premier League with all this money that's coming in. So as far as this argument of money and things, it's just a non-starter for me. I don't even go there. It's just a pathetic argument that opposition fans and some journalists who are affiliated to one particular club seem to use this terminology, this mega spend Man City and, you know, mega bucks and blah 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 blah, oil rich, you know, all this crap. It's nonsense, because I've just proven to you there, our spend under Pep Guardiola is nowhere near Jurgen Klopp's, and is nowhere near Conte and Sarri's, and yet we did the double last year, and we could potentially go on after only spending only £60 million this year compared to what the other clubs have spent this year. Wolves, for example, Harry, Wolves have spent the same amount of money this summer as Manchester City have. So, but we're not going to go down the route of, well, net spend for us this summer is better than yours, and I mean, because it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's some sort of, like I said, it's a stick that, you know, kids of opposition fans use. I mean, it's just pathetic. I'm not even getting into an argument about it. So anyway, that's I just wanted to clarify that on the point you said that Pep Guardiola has spent an awful lot of money. Yeah, I agree, he has, but nothing compared to what the other managers have spent, and look what he got last season. Okay, Nuno Santo's been compared to Pep Guardiola, and how do you think he'll do this season? And is he the best footballing manager you've seen since you've been supporting Wolves?
I'd say, to be honest with you, there are a few similarities between our manager Nuno and yours Guardiola. I'd say that both like to play progressive football, attractive on the eye, easy to watch. Likewise, Nuno is quite strong that the defenders have to be as comfortable on the ball as the wingers and able to play that style, all 11 players including the keeper in a way. So I would say they are similar. I think, to be honest with you, since I've been a Wolves fan, the short list of managers has not been too incredible. So by a long stretch, he is the best manager I've seen at Wolves. His football is definitely one that catches the memories for me more. Some of the games we played and the football that he likes to get his teams to perform in is incredible. So yeah, I think most Wolves fans, if not every single Wolves fan, has a very positive opinion on him, considering we've had the likes of Dean Saunders and Kenny Jackie. He is a class above anybody we've had in the past. So yeah, I think Guardiola's just got a little bit more CV in him, but Nuno definitely isn't a pushover. He's managed at the likes of Valencia, Porto, and even, you know, he took a very small Portuguese club, Rio Ave, to the Europa League. So he's got a good track record, and it's good to see them both on the touchline on Saturday. Let's see who comes out on top. And my next question is, if Pep left tomorrow and there were only one person who could be the next manager, the Wolves guy, Nuno Espirito Santo, would you be satisfied, and how high do you think he could take you?
So, if Nuno Santo was the only manager available and we had to take him if Pep was to leave tomorrow, how would he do? Well, he'd be taking over a team of superstars, world-class players, so I would expect him to do pretty well. It's very difficult. I can only judge this on how this season pans out, because this is going to be your first season, one under Santo in the Premier League. So we've seen you start already. 1 point from 2 games. The Championship is a very, very difficult league, a super competitive league, but it's on a different planet to the Premier League. And I think we'll hold judgment on Santo at the end of the season. I do think he'll do really well, and I think your results will definitely pick up because he plays a really nice, exciting brand of football. So as far as at City, you'd only have to expect that if he went in there with the players of the calibre of Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Sane, Vincent Kompany, Benjamin Mendy, Kyle Walker, Gundogan, Fernandinho, Ederson. I mean, I would imagine most managers would get a tune out of them. Whether they'd get a tune out of them like Pep Guardiola is a completely different story, and I don't believe they would. So yeah, I think he'd do well, but I'd be interested. I'm really hopeful that you guys do well because I love the style of football you play this season. So let's hold judgment till the end of this particular campaign. We'll see where Wolves stand, and we'll see how Santo has done throughout his first season in the Premier League. But if he keeps that philosophy that he's got, he's going to get a lot of admirers, whether it be from opposition fans or pundits, certainly, because it's a nice, exciting brand of football that they play. Whether it will get you results in the Premier League is a completely different story. Yeah, I mean, if we had to take him, at least he plays football the right way. If it was a choice between Mourinho and Santo, there's only one winner. Santo every day of the week. I wouldn't want that, that part of the bus type of manager anywhere near my club or anywhere near my players. So yeah, Santo I think will do a good job, Harry. So Harry, what would be a successful season for Wolves?
In theory, any successful season for a newly promoted club is Premier League survival. It is. We've spent a lot. Fulham have spent 100 million, so promoted clubs are starting to spend more money and to have more momentum with them. But we have to remember last season there was some mid-table clubs in the Premier League, almost in a false sense of security, dropped down when not many expected. The likes of Stoke City, the likes of Swansea City, these were established teams that just dropped. So we have to, we can't take that for granted. Some fans are thinking about top 10. I think that's a little bit too far for us at the minute. Mid-table's possible. You see the league table at the end of the season, the bottom half is normally very congested. 3 wins on the bounce at the end of the season could levitate us around 11th, 12th. So there's definitely that level that we could reach, but survival is the key goal in any promoted team's first season, regardless of how well we did last year and the talent in our squad. To stay in the league and then build next season and try and get a better league position as the seasons go on. But first season, survival, that's got to be successful for a club that's just come up from the Championship. So yeah, survival. And my next question, what are your score predictions ahead of the game?
Okay, score prediction then for Saturday. Oh, I said last week I thought it'd be 4-1, it was 6-1. This week I'm gonna be a little bit more conservative, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 4-2. I'm gonna go 4-2 to Man City. I think your attacking style, it will be an open game, and I think you are dangerous on the break. But I think scoring goals, looking at your shot to conversion ratio and shots to shots on target, is going to have to improve. So yeah, let's go for a high scoring win to Manchester City and go for 4-2. And my final question, Harry, is what's the score going to be? What's your prediction for Saturday?
This is a first because I've done 6 months, under just under half a year of match previews, and this will be the first time I've actually predicted that we lose. I'm going for Man City 1, Wolves 0. So, I don't think it's going to be a walkover. We played you in the Carabao Cup last season. We took you all the way to a penalty shootout. So we have got some pedigree against you, but I think it's a completely different climate now with different teams, different league. The standard's better, so it's going to be tricky for us, obviously, to get anything from you. A draw will feel like a win against teams such as yourselves and that. So we're going to give it everything. I think we have got players. If Traore starts, he can cause you a few problems. He could cause any team problems. He was a Barcelona winger, so we have that level. But I just think you're just a step too far. Even with De Bruyne injured, you've got world-class players that are just on the bench. So you are a force to be reckoned with. Probably the best side since Fergie's Man United in 2008. I know you probably don't particularly want to admit that, but they were fantastic as well. And I think you are on par with them, if not actually a little bit better. I think you've got to win the Champions League first for that to be, the rules. But anyway, I think it will be Wolves 0, Manchester City 1. And to be honest with you, as long as we perform well, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. But that is the end of all your questions, and those are my answers.
Okay, so finally, what I'd just like to say is a massive thank you to Harry from Wolves Fan TV. Don't forget, go over and have a look at their channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you're a Wolves fan or a football fan even. And yeah, we really appreciate it, and we'll probably see you down around the ground doing our usual pre-match, half-time and post-match vlogs with City and Wolves fans. So anyway, thanks very much for the chat, Harry, and we'll see you soon.